Hi everyone, welcome to the VAK Indian History Podcast. I'm Utkarsh.
Namaskar, Medha. We are back again after a little gap. It was a very huge gap for me. So, viewers, listeners, you can congratulate me for becoming a grandmother. Yes, I have become a grandmother, and Utkarsh here has become an uncle. So, that was a great gap for us. And now we're back to what we do best, acquaint you with your past. So, what's it today, Utkarsh?
Well, we chose an interesting time to go on break because there was, as it struck us, there was one topic, something going on in the world, while current, was actually in our realm of, what should I say, realm of what this podcast covers. And that is Persia,
Yes.
Iran,
Or Iran,
history.
yes. Top of the mind for all of you, but possibly not
Yeah.
for history. But today
Hmm.
we'll talk about the history of Iran and India or Persia and India together.
Hmm. Hmm.
Utkarsh, what are
Yeah.
because the history of Persia per se is
Hmm.
not what VAK Indian History Podcast is really concerned with. We
Hmm.
are an Indian history podcast, so we'll tell you
Hmm.
all about Iran and
Yeah.
India relations. So, Utkarsh, as usual, tell me your questions, your what you wonder about, what you think about, and I'll try and put them into some kind of structure. What do you wonder about?
Yeah, so see, the main thing with Iran or Persia is that even even the so-called ignorant quote unquote West are aware that Iran is a very ancient civilization, much like India is a very ancient civilization, right? Whatever biases they might have, they at least say that. So I've also known this. It's not like this is news to me. So I'm curious that how ancient is Iran? Since it's an ancient civilization, we've talked about connections between other ancient civilizations, and of course, India is one of them. So I want to know about those connections. The second bit is, of course, being on the internet, you hear things here and there. You don't know how true they are. But one very interesting thing that I heard is that there's an interesting duality or more like oppositeness. What's the right word for it? But basically, like for in India, you have got Dev and Asur, where Devas are the good guys and Asur are the bad guys. Apparently, the same words exist in Iran, but it's kind of flipped, where the Asurs are the good guys and the Devs are the bad guys. So I've heard of this. So I want to know, is that true or is that internet rumor? Is it one of those things that just gets spread on the internet? Yeah. And the third thing, which has always fascinated me, is basically the Parsis. I mean, Parsi is such an interesting story. We know they're from Iran, so many prominent ones, Freddie Mercury. In fact, on a parallel channel of mine, I have a video on Freddie Mercury's real history story, right? Because he was grew up in India, studied in boarding school there in India, and then later, of course, family was based in Africa, but he's basically Indian. And there's so much. We should see the comment section of that. There's so much. No, if Freddie. Some people say no, he's actually Iranian according to Wikipedia. And I'm like, okay. Do you know what
Wow.
Parsis are? Others are like, no, he's British. So, anyways, point is, Parsis are an interesting story as well. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So, you can take this in any order that you want to take it in.
Okay, so well, being a historian, chronology appeals to me. So let's take it from the point of view of location and from point of view of time. You're very right. Mesopotamia, or that is where medieval Persia, ancient Persia, and modern Iran are situated, is one of the cradles of civilization. Just like the Saraswati Sindhu cradle, that's also a cradle of civilization. It's also a place where you can say many of the things that define humanity, like agriculture, for example. And many things like that originated from there, and they're one of the earliest, like the Sindhu Saraswati. So, maybe what I want to do first is to show you where Greater Persia is and where Greater Bharat is, so that we know what is
Yeah,
the juxtaposition of the two and why
correct.
is it that we are interested in this particular juxtaposition.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, let me try and share. Okay. What happens is that some of the older ones come here and I am not able to show you is this the map? Yes. So I'm hoping that you can see this. This I just googled ancient Asia. So
Hmm.
you can see India over here. The shape
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
that peninsula is very, very clear. This is
Yeah.
Greater Bharat. And to
Hmm.
the left of it, this green area
Yeah.
and this pink area and
Hmm.
some of this Gulf, this whole
Hmm.
thing at different times and even more of it has been
Um.
part of Persia and Iran. So,
Oh, the entire Gulf as well, and parts of Europe, parts of
yes,
Eastern Europe.
yes, and the entire
Hmm.
Gulf, there was a
Hmm.
time when this part, that is the Asian
Hmm.
part, was
Hmm.
Persia and it was very, very powerful. But then
Hmm.
with the coming of Islam, this part of the world attacked this
Hmm.
one and it
Hmm.
actually overpowered and conquered it. So Iran or Persia became Islamic. That was a very
Hmm.
significant thing. This part of the
Hmm.
world conquered this part of the world, but that's very late. Right now, let's
Okay.
the past.
Hmm.
I want you to get into your head, Utkarsh, and you, everyone who's listening, that we are basically neighbors. Now, how does this proximity translate into relations between us?
Hmm.
And before I go ahead, I must just tell you something that came up while I was researching. So I was researching one of the foremost historians of the Saraswati Sindhu civilization, that is Mark Kenoyer. And he was called by the University of Chicago, the SOAS of the University of Chicago, for a talk on the Indus Valley civilization. And the person introducing it said, "We are always so bothered about, the Middle East and Iran and Persia. We don't think about anything else. But sometimes you can look at very unrelated people and find that there are some relations between the two. That's why we've called somebody who knows something about the IVC. Now, can you imagine somebody with the depth of ignorance to say that these two civilizations, which are contiguous, juxtaposed, neighbors for millennia, are civilizations which you do not think of in proximity or do not think of together? This is what modern Western historians are like. For them, the Middle East, the Near East is different. India is different. The departments are different. And
Kind
there
of
was a
how
famous I
the
made.
it's kind of how the U.S. Defense Department is divided, right? They have CENTCOM and also kind of
Yeah,
divided in
yeah,
that
yeah.
thinking.
And I mean, I was literally, my mouth was agape when I was listening to the video of this person saying that, we should have unrelated and very different kind of lectures in our own department so that new light and new perspectives are shed on Persia and Iran. I think it is tragic that there is such little real macro understanding. The micro understanding may be there, but the macro understanding is missing. Now, to understand the chronology, I will again share something else. I want to share. Okay, so what is this, Utkarsh? This is our own episode 23.
Yes, I remember this.
Yes. So, our episode 23, 24, and 25, we did three intense episodes on the Indus Valley, Harappan, or Saraswati Sindhu civilization. And we tried to juxtapose it with other civilizations, as you can see. This particular um, picturization has been done by Dr. Mark Kenoyer, and it is very, very widely used in academic circles. So let me give the academic credit where it is due. This has been done by Dr. Mark Kenoyer, and perhaps for that same lecture that I was talking about. So look at how things have been moving together in Mesopotamia and India. You see the different names of the civilizations which have gone there: Ubaid, Uruk, Akkadian, Assyrian, Babylonian, etc., etc. Or I will be talking about all of these, and you see that they are contiguous with the Harappan civilization. And therefore, there was a great likelihood that there would be a lot of contacts between them, and indeed there were. Later, when the Mauryan Empire came in, we have had a an episode on the Mauryans and the Seleucids, Utkarsh. If you remember, 3, 4 episodes ago, we did a special one on the interrelations between the Mauryans and the Seleucids. And the Seleucids were at the time the people who were actually ruling over what we call Persia. There was people can go back to that episode on the Mauryans and the Seleucids. We had connected it with the President of the United States, so you may as well go and see that episode. So what have I shown you? I have shown you the geographic, I have shown you the time contiguity. And now we can look at some of the more specific things. So what do I want to tell you? There is a great record of trade between the Harappan civilization and the Mesopotamians. So things like cornelian, bead, ivory, timber, copper, shell bangles, etc., were all exported to the Gulf area and to Persia, and we have records of all those
Yeah,
things.
we talked
Would
about this
you,
earlier as well, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
would you like to see a few pictures, Sukash? Just a few to
Sure,
see
sure, sure.
the,
Just to
the
put a,
kind of
yeah.
things, yeah, just to put a kind of picture in your head. I have a number of things here. So I'll show you things in no particular order, but these are the things which, see, for example, can you see this? These are
Hmm.
carnelian and agate beads, which
Hmm.
were made in the Indus civilization and found at Ur, Mesopotamia. We just saw Ur. Ur was contiguous in time as well as geographically with the Harappan civilization, with the IVC. So this is Ur. Now I can show you something else. What's this? Now this is again extremely interesting. These are very special Harappan figurines with flower headdress. And the same kind of flowery headdress is found again in royal burials at Ur. So you can see the cultural continuity.
Hmm.
Yeah. Then something else. What else should I show you? These are again Indus beads from Acadia and cylinder seals of Meluhhans. I will talk about the Meluhhans in just a minute. And these are all from the University of Chicago lecture of Dr. Mark Kenoyer. So you can be
Hmm.
absolutely confident about its academic credentials. So that gives you a bit of an idea of the kind of things which were found over there. And we become very, very clear that there was a huge coming and going of people as well as trade, money, etc. I've shown you some of the physical things. Now, what about some kind of textual or inscriptional evidence? So, Sumerian cuneiform texts, Akkadian royal inscriptions mention one of the ports of the Indus Valley civilization, which they call as Meluhha. You remember that very, very popular book called The Immortals of Meluhha by Amish?
Yes, of
Yes.
course.
So I think that was when the word Meluhha really came into the normal narrative and normal consciousness. But Meluhha is the Indus Valley civilization, and you find numerous mentions of Meluhha in Akkadian inscriptions, in Sumerian tablets. It is also worth thinking about that when was the IVC recognized as a specific civilization? This was when seals from IVC were found in Oman and in Mesopotamia. Then they
Hmm.
realized that this was a separate civilization which had links with this other Sumerian and Akkadian civilization. So this, I think it gives you an idea of the depth and antiquity of this connection. This is, what are we talking about? 3000 BCE, 4000 BCE,
Hmm.
2800, 1300 BC. We are
Hmm.
talking about really very, very millennia old.
Let me ask the question in a slightly different way, slightly more internet interesting way, perhaps. I don't know. We have, of course, Ramayana and Mahabharata. So where is the Mesopotamian or the Persian or whatever the civilization is called? Where are they
So
in this time period?
hold this thought. because I'm going to give you
Health,
a very, yeah, I
health.
want to give you a very good backup, or what can I say, very good elucidation of this. And this is a very special way I want to look at it. And I have a special section on this, so hold the thought. And
Okay,
in the
okay,
meanwhile, we move on from this with just one last remark. The Harappan bull is seen in Kirman, which is in Iran. And Utkarsh, we must flag this. If we look at the development and evolution of many animals, such as cattle, water buffaloes, bulls, rats, then we can prove a lot of the out of India theory. Because many of these animals started off from the Indian subcontinent and then spread out across the world. So again, this is something that I want to do, that I hope to do. A lot of research is necessary for this. But the Harappan bull is found, and the water buffalo also. The water buffalo is a very important animal in terms of the agricultural and pastoral economy, and it is also found in Mesopotamia. So now, if we move on a little bit, we come to the Achaemenid Empire, which was, say, about the 6th century BCE. And in India, that was the time of the Mahajanpads. There were 16 big Mahajanpads in Bharat, and this was that time. One of the Mahajanpads in the northwest was Gandhar. So the Achaemenids under Cyrus the First, and then his successor Darius, they also took over bits of Gandhar. So they had a little bit of entry into Bharat. And why is Darius important? Because the first attested use of the word Hindu comes from one of his inscriptions. He mentions that the people who live in this part of the world are called Hindus. The actual spelling is Hidus, Hindus, and the Saha thing is there. But this is the first attested use of the term Hindu. So next time someone tells you, Kash, that Hindu is something that the British invented, please tell them that it was Darius in 522 BCE.
luckily, no one tells me these things in Singapore.
Oh, but you will find such people in on the
Yeah,
internet.
of course. And of
Yeah,
course, internet, you have everybody.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this was actually found at the Apadan Palace in Persepolis, which was the Iranian capital of the Achaemenids. So Darius and Cyrus had a lot of interface with India. These were the Achaemenids. Then I have talked about the Seleucids and the Mauryans, and that brings us to the third, fourth century BCE. Then I have to tell you that in 655, was it 655 exactly? What, there is a particular war that the Iranians, 635, there was a particular battle that the Iranians lost. And the original Iranians, the Zoroastrians, the Persians, they were completely overrun by Islam. So after that period of time, from 635 CE, Persia became completely Islamized. It became Iran. By the way, Utkarsh, what is the meaning of Iran? It means land of the Aryans.
Oh. Oh, we're back to the
Yes,
Aryans. Oh my God.
we are back to the Aryans, and again, like I said, I have a explosive section for you on that. So wait for it. We'll go
This
in
this this
logical
podcast
fashion.
is going down many. It's like like a highlights,
Yeah.
almost like a
Yes,
highlights episode
yes,
because it's going down many
yes,
roads that we've gone down before.
yes. Exactly. You said it, and it's because of the nature of the relationship between India and Iran. Talking of past episodes, there is something which is called the golden age of Islam, which is,
Hmm.
say, between the 8th and the, I think it is the 8th and the 13th century.
Yeah.
So, in this golden age of Islam, there were certain, there were the Umayyad caliphs, there were certain other dynasties of caliphs, and Baghdad became a
Hmm.
very important center. The word Baghdad also, of course, comes from, it is connected to Avestan and Sanskrit. It comes from Bhagadata, and it means the land given by Bhagwan.
Oh
So,
wow.
yes. So, the things which are underlying the superficial layers, if you peel them away, you see so many
Hmm.
Indic and Vedic things.
Hmm.
But okay, where was I? I was at the golden age of Islam. So this golden age of Islam is supposed to be, according to Islamic and Western narrative, the time when the caliphates were powerful militarily, culturally, a lot of knowledge was created. There were great intellectuals and knowledge in terms of mathematics, astronomy, surgery, everything really flowered over there. Now, my point is that all this did happen in that area merely as because they were people who took the knowledge of India to the West. So if you will just think about the world map, you can see India, you can see Persia or Iran to the left, then you can see the Gulf, and then from there you can see that there's a way to the West. And in so many of our past episodes, I've shown you that map that I'm not going to show it again. You can go back to the past episodes, especially the one on math, and see exactly how it went.
What was that book? Something Mukabla about the equations. There was some one of the mathematicians.
So one
I
is, of
forgot it.
course, Al-Jabr. That is why it's called
Algebra,
algebra.
algebra. Yeah,
Yeah. Al-Jabr. And people, I'm listing the episodes which will tell you of the Hindu inputs into the so-called golden age of Islam. See
yeah.
our episode on math, on calculus, on chess, on the Arabian Nights, on surgery, and
Hmm.
you will be able to understand that the whole Iranian area, the Arabian Peninsula, became very, very important in terms of spreading so much of Indian knowledge across the world. And I will not repeat all this because these episodes have gone into it a good amount of detail. And if you go back to these episodes, you will be able to understand a lot of this.
Hmm.
Like I said,
Yeah.
and like Utkarsh said, this is a kind of highlight episode. So go back to our episode 23 to 25 on the Harappans. I'll be speaking more
Hmm.
about it right now. And also go
Hmm.
back to the math, calculus, chess, Arabian Nights, surgery, and medical texts, iron, everything. You'll see that the
Hmm.
conduit has been very naturally that area of
Yeah.
Arabia and Persia. So
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
is it very clear that there is a very strong and indubitable tight connection between
Hmm.
Bharat in the very hoary past and
Yeah.
Persia slash Iran when it was Mesopotamia?
Hmm. Well, I was just since you were mentioning, I just wanted to just look it up. So I think I've noticed maybe the changes in the last few years. The whole Arabic numerals. It's actually now Wikipedia says Hindu Arabic.
Which
Well,
is
that's a start.
actually, but it's wrong.
But it's a start. It's a start. Let's just say I'm an
It's,
optimistic person. It's a start.
it's
Versus
still
calling.
wrong.
And the
Utkarsh, it's
article
still wrong.
and the articles does say the system was invented by Indian mathematicians. Then it was adopted by Arabic. So it's clear. At least the article is clear for anybody who double clicks. It's getting better. All I'm saying is it's getting better.
Well. Okay, if you
Yeah.
insist. So, there were lots of links to Al-Andalus, which is Andalusia in Spain now, Cordoba in
Hmm.
Spain, Seville and Granada. You know that
Hmm.
that was also an Islamic area. So from Baghdad, people went to Andalusia, Cordoba, Seville, Granada, and from
Hmm.
there the information was then spread out all over into the West. And we've
Hmm.
done this in detail, Utkarsh, especially in our episode on math and calculus. We've done this in great detail.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
let's not, I think, spend any time
Yeah, yeah.
going
We'll
over it
just we'll
again.
just link to the episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go to the explosive part. I'm waiting for it.
Okay. So do you want to know the explosive part first, or do you want to know the Asur Dev part first?
Yeah, 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 all of that.
Okay. So, all right. Let me tell you the interesting and explosive part first. And let me tell you also again what happened to me during the research process. So, you know that Iran is the land of the Aryans. Now, what is the text that attests most of about and for the Aryans is, of course, the Vedic corpus. So, what is the link between this land of the Aryans and the Vedic corpus? What can we say happened? Is it that people, white-skinned Caucasians, came thundering down from the steps on their chariots and killed all the poor natives in India and made them all Aryans? This is the Aryan invasion theory. And of course, when they were thundering down from the
Hmm.
steps to India, Iran was also on
A
the
lot of
way.
thundering happened. Yeah,
Yes.
a lot of
So
thundering happened.
they thundered through Iran also invaded the land of the Aryans. Simple, right? So it's very easy to understand.
Wrong.
Unfortunately, we know very well that the Aryan invasion theory has been completely debunked because it has absolutely no evidence, absolutely none to support it. Now, what is it that we have posited and other people have posited? This is called the OIT or the out of India theory. Again, if you go back to episode number 25, the one where we compared India to Egypt, and also in many of our episodes when we talk about genetic evidence, we have shown you how newer and newer genetic evidence is showing that a lot of things went out from India. So there is someone who is called Acharya Chatursen. I have referred to Acharya Chatursen's whole theory about OIT in that episode 25. Today, I will refer to it again from the point of view of Iran and Persians. And Utkarsh, when I was talking, I asked ChatGPT, what is the, no, Gemini DPI, what is the link between, what are the links between Iran, India, Avesta, Vedas, Avestan, Sanskrit? So it gave me a long screed and told me that it's thundering down from the steps. Then I asked it, no, this is not correct. You're showing a lot of AIT bias. It has been debunked. Please look at it again and think of it again in terms of some other theory, OIT maybe. So then it wrote the same thing back again to me only with OIT substitute. Didn't change anything. So what does that tell you? That there is no hard evidence which cannot be explained by things moving out of India. And it's just that a particular story has been imposed on the evidence. In fact, there are some things which cannot be explained by the thundering chariots. For instance, the oldest layers of the Sanskrit language and Proto Indo European language are found in India. How come? Why are they not found somewhere else where it originated? And this was something
Hmm.
that Gemini AI was supposed to actually, you know, tell me when I asked it and pestered and poked it. You see how easily stories are made fit into evidence which is not really appropriate and does not really back up that story.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
now
Hmm.
to the interesting and explosive part. So Acharya Chatur Sen in his book Vayam Rakshama has said that this is the theory about the Iranian and Indian connection. This coming down from the steps, but I don't believe it. What am I going to do? I am going to look at the Vedic corpus. I am going to look at the Purans, and I am going to tell you how all of it came from people who were Indians and all the people who we know very well. So, what is the story? The story is, do you remember, Utkarsh, another episode of ours, the one on beef,
Yes.
where we had said that the cow is seen as the mother Aditi. She is the mother of all creation. So, this is how Acharya Chatursen explains it. Aditi married somebody called Marichi Kashyap and had 12 sons. These 12 sons were called the Adityas. These Adityas are very famous in all Puranic and Vedic literature. The eldest was Varun and the youngest was Surya. Now, it is these 12 Adityas who have populated this area which is called Bharat and this area which is called Iran. And to give you an even larger view and even more macro, there is someone called Daksh, Pracheta Putra Daksh. He had well, take this as a pinch of salt, but he had more than 50 daughters. And he gave these daughters in marriage to about four or five people, one of them being Kashyap, another being Yam, another being Thrigu, and others who you may not be interested in knowing the names of. However, the bottom line is, that it is the progeny of these women and men who make up the entire world, not just India and Iran, the entire world. For India and Iran, we have the Adityas, and I will go a little more into detail about the Adityas. So, you know that we are divided into, our time is divided into Manvantars. That is, this is a time period which is known by the name of the most important progenitor man called Manu. So, there are six Manvantars. The first one was called Swayambhu Manu, and the current one, the one we are living in, is Vivasvat Manu. So these are the from the first to the sixth. Now, one of these was Chakshush. So in the Chakshush Manvanta was another king called Prithu, did everything. What did he do? This was after the Pralay. So he cleared out the earth, established agriculture, the Vedas started to be written, and he attacked Persia. So Persia is mentioned in Indic literature as Sugda, Maru, Varvadhi, and Nishad. These are Sogdiana, Margiana, Khwarizm, Khorasan, etc. It is actually in the Indic understanding, Persia is Ketumal. This is the area called Ketumal. And what happened was that five or six men from Chakshush Manu's, successors of his and children, brothers, etc. of his, gave a very, very sharp attack to Persia. And they overran all of Persia. And again, hold on to this thought, because this is one of the reasons for that Ahura, Asura, Dev, Danav, and demon uh, inversion. So, what they are saying, what Acharya Chaturvedi says on the basis of evidence, anyone who wants to read it, please read.
When you say evidence, you mean what is written in the Purans.
Yes, I mean some evidence from the Purans. I mean some geographical and what can I say, paleological evidence. I mean
Hmm.
some textual evidence and some very important inscriptions which I will be talking about. One is a very important Hittite Mitanni treaty, which I will talk about in great detail. But all
Hmm.
these attest to whatever Acharya Chatursen is saying. So basically, what is he saying? That Surya, who was the youngest Aditya, he stayed back in India. All his progenitors are, Surya Vansh. For example, Sri Ram is also from the Surya Vansh. So all of Surya Vanshi stayed here, and those who went to Iran, that is, Varun went to Iran, Yam went to Iran, and can you guess how Yam is spoken of in Iranian or Parsi? What is the most common Iranian name? Think of
Please.
the Tatas.
Okay.
Think of that place near Ranchi.
Jamshedpur.
Yes. So Jamshed is one of the very important deities of the Iranians and one of the most important names of Iranians. So that Jamshed is from Yam.
Is it?
So,
Okay. Because I was trying to
yes,
see the connection. I could not see the connection when you
yes.
have Jamshed.
So
Jamshedji
that,
Tata.
yes, Yam becomes Jam, and it becomes Yamshed and Jamshed later. So and Yam is supposed to be the son of Surya. He also goes to Iran. Varun also goes to Iran and then goes to the west. And here is the very interesting part. Iran, Egypt, Palestine, Arab, China, Tibet, etc. were taken over and conquered by the 11 Adityas, starting with Varun. And the youngest Aditya Surya stayed here in India. Now, what is the interesting part? Who is Varun? Varun is, according to Acharya Chatursen, the person who is called the Lord Creator in the Bible. He is called Arunzat in the Avesta. He is called Elohim or Ilahi in the Old Testament. So basically, Varun Brahma is the creator. This is Varun. And it's because after the Great Flood, which is attested to in so many texts, and also in near the Caspian Sea, there are also remains of a thick, I think, a bedrock of soil which shows a great flood, and the Proto-Elamites were wiped out by this flood. So this Lord Creator is nobody, is none but the Varun of our own texts, of our own Vedic and Puranic texts. So remember this Varun and Mitra, etc., because I'm going to tell you some more about it. So Acharya Chatursen has basically said that Iran, Persia, was peopled by those who went out of India. And he has his own, uh, what can I say, his own construction of events. And like I said, you can read it in this book called Vayam Rakshama. Now, when Varun and all the Adityas went over there, and there was an attack, like I told you, by Chakshush, Manu, and six of his family. Basically, it was later successors who were fighting with people who had gone there earlier. And they, because of the fact that they were that the attack was so strong, that Acharya Chatursen says that that is why they started being known as uh, Shaitan or Devil or Ahriman, and therefore all the Devas became like demons. This is one of the reasons. There is another one which I'll tell you. This is one of the
Hmm.
reasons why the Devas were seen as evil, dangerous, and the Bible mentions, the Old Testament mentions some satanic hordes. According to Acharya Chatursen, these satanic hordes were nothing but Chakshush, Manu, and five more of his family members. So this is how he has put that into the whole Puranic and Vedic
Hmm.
system. And by the way, Persia, according to him, is also named after one of the sons of Chakshush. He was. I will tell you the name in a minute. I've lost the name somewhere. His name is Pur. One of the sons of Chakshush is called Pur, from whom comes the word Persia.
Hmm.
So the Iranians are close relations and of the same main family of Adityas as the Indians. So they have as much right to be called the land of the Aryans as anybody else. So any questions on this?
So you said, right, this is the age of Vivasvat Manu, but the stories are from an age of a different Manu. Isn't there like an entire Satyug, Kalyug, all those? Isn't that thousands of years? How does it work?
So Acharya Chatursen has on this point, the one that you are mentioning, that the Manvantars are actually, they contain so many years that it's not possible to think of them in human history terms. So then what do we do? So then we try to moderate those number of years using tertiary evidence, using secondary evidence from different parts, and he has done that. He has dealt with this issue. Now we don't have the time, or this is not really the place where I can go into all that, but I suggest that you read the chapters concerned of Vayam Rakshama.
Hmm. Okay.
And
Hmm.
another interesting thing is that Yam is also mentioned as Yima in the Avesta, and Yima is the Noah of his time. So he is told that there is a huge winter threatening and everyone will die in that apocalyptic winter. So he goes underground and makes a subterranean area, which is called a Vara in the Avesta, to save everyone from the winter apocalypse. The ship which saved everyone in the Great Flood has a parallel here in a city underground which saves entire creation. And this whole idea of the underworld, Yam is also the king of the underworld, Ima is also the king of the underworld. So there are a lot of relations between the two, and Yima is the Avestan Noah. So are
Hmm.
there any questions on this?
What about the language?
Okay, we shall now go on to the language.
Sanskrit? Any evidence or any relation? In Iran, they speak
Actually,
what? Farsi, right? They speak Farsi. Am I
they
wrong?
speak Parsi right now, but we are going to talk about the Zend Avesta,
Hmm.
Zarathustra, and the Avestan language. So the Zend Avesta is the holy book or the scripture for the people who call themselves Zoroastrians. It consists of 17 gathas or 17 sets of hymns. The language that it is written in is called Avestan. Now, Avestan has so many similarities with Sanskrit that it is just like Sanskrit spoken in a different register and with some different pronunciation. There, the very famous thing that there is no sir in Avestan, so everything becomes her. And I will tell you about the kind of similarities. The grammar is the same. Meters that are used to write the Gatha are the same as the meters which are used in the Vedas. And I will share some technical stuff with you just for you to take a look because we are not linguists, but we will try to look at this. Can you see this? Shall I make it a little bit bigger?
Yeah, just make it a bit bigger. That'll be great.
So what I want to do this one.
Hmm. Okay.
No, no, wait, no. I'm just not able to reach that place because this thing here.
It's okay.
There.
I can kind
There.
of make it out.
No, look at this. This is a better one.
Hmm.
Can you see comparison between Sanskrit and Avestan? Can you read it?
I'm seeing a bunch of languages. Sanskrit, Greek, Latin, English, Armenian. Maybe it's a different page. Okay, now I see a Western. Yeah,
Yeah.
now I see it.
Yeah. This is a much clearer chart.
Hmm.
Can you see the comparison between Sanskrit and Avestan? In Sanskrit, it is Mri, it is Mriyate, Karn is becomes G. And look at I. I is Akshi and it becomes Chashma. Do you know what a Chashma is? Kash.
Here.
There you go. So that's Avestan. Chashma is Avestan. Then 4 is Chatar.
So what is a Western? That's the ancient language. Is it still spoken in Persia? Is it like the
No,
Sanskrit of Persia?
no. It is the Sanskrit of Persia, but the thing is it okay if I close this? Just take a look at this.
Yeah, yeah.
Mam.
Yeah. The point has been made.
The point has
Yeah.
been made. Right. Yeah. So Avestan is an ancient language of the Persian region. It is absolutely dead as a dodo. Sanskrit is not dead as a dodo. It is used by people who live today. I got married, you got married in Sanskrit. We do a lot of things in Sanskrit. People still
No, so that's
even
interesting
believe.
because I guess the differences in Iran, the ancient civilization actually got run over by Islam, so it didn't survive. In India, it didn't get run over fully.
Yes.
So that's the
Yes.
difference, right?
Yes, exactly. Now, I will tell you, Zarathustra probably lived in the 6th, 7th century BCE or a little earlier, the problems with dating.
Yeah.
This could have been 800 BCE.
So who's Zarathustra? I've only heard of it because of Nietzsche, right? Nietzsche's famous "Thus Spake Zarathustra." I'm telling you what I've heard. You can like it or dislike it. I'm just telling you. Now, who is Zarathustra?
No, fair enough. So Zarathustra has been thought of as somebody who has influenced Greek philosophy, who has influenced Western philosophy a lot. He is a prophet, lived in the in old Persia, again in the 6th, 7th, 8th century BC or 1000 BC, and he has what has been left is 17 gathas that he wrote. He is like the Jesus of the Zoroastrians or the Muhammad of the Zoroastrians. He is their prophet. And in those 17 gathas, which comprise the Zend Avesta, all the things about what the how creation was made, who are the deities, who are the evil people, what society should be made of. So think of it as a kind of Zoroastrian Veda, a
Hmm.
Zoroastrian Veda and Bhagavad Gita and all combined. So, shall I start talking about the similarities between Vedic civilization and the civilization which is described in the Zenda Vesta? Remember
Sure.
that civilization no longer exists. Only a few people could run away, and those Parsis are there in India, but some changes have happened there too. What are
Obviously.
the basic similarities? There's
Hmm.
a focus on fire.
Hmm.
The Vedic religion is one based on fire. Again, we've mentioned it a number of times. The same goes for the Zoroastrians. The basis is fire, central to both. Now, who are the gods found in all of them in both of these scriptures? Varun, Mitra, Indra, Nasatya. You know Varun, just spoke about him. And in our pantheon, Varun is the god of water. And then you have Mitra and you have Indra. Utkarsh, yet another of our episodes on the Nagas. When the last one, when Indra fought with
Yeah.
the snakes, the same episode appears in the Zendavesta also. And it appears in so many other pre-Islamic areas. Say, for example, in Armenian stories, in the Armenian religious stories of the past, the same fight of Indra and the Nagas appears. So these are all Vedic gods, and Indra's fight with the snake appears everywhere. Now, the important one, Dev and Asur. Even in our thinking, Devs and Asurs are actually related to each other. They are cousins, but they do not see eye to eye. And the Devasur Sangrams, there are multiple, I think 12 Devasur Sangrams in which everyone fights. Acharya Chatursen has an interesting way of explaining these. He says they were basically fighting for gold, which was found near the Caspian Sea at that time. The Caspian Sea, which is in Iran or Persia. Then one of the 17 gathas is very similar to the Gayatri month, which is there in our Vedic corpus. And wait for it. You know that we have four varnas. Go back to our caste episode. There are
Hmm.
four pistras, which are described in the Zenda Vesta, who can be described as pujaris, that is priests, yodhas, that is fighters or kshatriyas, kisan and karigar. So kisan is the Vaishyas and karigar is the Shudras. Then the Avestans or the Zoroastrians have a yasna, which is like our yajna. The yasna is the yajna. The Rigveda divides the world into seven dweeps. The Parsi is also divided into seven Kareswars. Then there is the cult of drinking som, that elixir, som juice. So that is called home for the Avestans. Then you have the Avestan Imak Sheta. Jamshed, you were asking me about how did Yam become Jamshed? So that is Yimak Sheta, who is the son of Vivangvat. We have Yam, who is the son of Vivaswan. So there is a clear parallel here too. And I told you
Hmm.
about Baghdad, of course.
Hmm.
Now, Iranians have a tower of silence for the dead. You heard of that? They have a tower of silence where they leave the dead body to be
Yeah, of
plucked
course I've
by
heard of it.
vultures.
Yeah.
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 So you know what it's called? It's called Dakhna. And what is the meaning of the word Dakhna? What is the root of the word Dakhna? It is from the Sanskrit Dahati, which is to burn. So do you see the relation between and how things changed? Dahati, dead bodies are burned in Vedic
Hmm.
uh, arts, in the Vedic practice. And for them, it was still called Dahana, but they attuned themselves to a different practice. So, what was the reason? This is one of the main questions that you asked me. What was the reason for the shift in the meaning of Asur and Dev? Why
Hmm.
is it that they shifted? One reason I told you is the theory of Acharya Chatursen that the Devas attacked them so many times that they started thinking of them as demons. The
Hmm.
other theory is that take this Vedic religion and take this prophet called Zarathustra. Zarathustra decided that he did not like this polytheism and he wanted to make it monotheistic. So, therefore, he made all the devas as demons and one Asur as the main big one, Ahura Mazda. So that
Hmm.
was one of the things that is the, well, thinking or philosophy or understanding of Zarathustra, which shifted the meaning around.
Hmm.
Now, I have another very interesting thing to tell you, which is how do we know that there is so much of connection between the Vedas and the Avesta? Because we read it. We read the Avesta, then the Avesta, and we read the Vedas. But there are some other inscriptional sources which give us some amazing information. So there is a very famous inscription which was found in a place which is called Hattusa, which is now Forum in Turkey. This is a treaty between people who are called the Hittites and people who are called the Mitannis. This is between Luluma I and Saktivasa, and it is dated 1380 BCE. That tablet is dated. Therefore, such a
Hmm.
precise
Hmm.
1380 BCE, that is about, say, 1400 BCE,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So, what is there? What's happening in this? The Mitanni were people who lived in Syria. And the Hittites were a very big kingdom around that area, also parts of Persia, with the capital in Turkey. And they were taking over the Mitanni areas by this treaty. What do they say? They call on all the gods to witness this treaty. Who are the gods do they call? They call the gods Varun, who is called Puruvana or Varun. This is what is written in the treaty. They call Mitra, they called Indara, they called Nasa Atya or Nasatyas, who are the Ashwins. All these four are Vedic gods. And all these four, please note, are not treated as demons. They are treated
Hmm.
as gods. They are still positive forces. So here in 1380 BCE, which is before the time of Zarathustra, we have a time when the Iranians or Persians or Aryans or whatever you want to call them still believed in the same Vedic religion as is there in the Rig Veda. And it is
Hmm.
only after that that two of them, Mitra and Varun, become the big Ahura Yazada or Ahura Mazda, and Indira and Nasatya, they become Devas or demons. It is only later. So you can see that, or you can know that the change happened because there is a particular specific tablet which
Hmm.
reveres these Vedic gods. There is also a very, very cute little thing, not a little thing, it's a very technical thing. There is a Mitani horse training manual, which was also found in the same place. This was written by a Mitani called Kikuli. He gives his name, so we know his name is Kikuli.
Hmm.
It is a manual for conditioning war chariot horses. All the technical terms Utkarsh are in Sanskrit, like Aika Vartan, which means one turn of the horse, or three Vartan or Chatur Vartan, etc. All the
Hmm.
colors of the horses are in Sanskrit. Babru, Palit, Pingal, that is brown, grey, yellow. The horse master is called an Asusani. Asusani, Ashwasani. Ashwa is horse in Sanskrit, and Sani
Yeah.
means the food that you give to cattle.
Ashwa is perhaps the only Sanskrit word I know. So that's
Yeah.
great.
So he is called an Asusani. This
Hmm.
horse training manual is found at the same time in the same place, and it is clear that the Mitannis are very good at training horses, and the Hittites have called this foreign consultant because now they've taken over the Mitannis to help in training and conditioning their own horses. So
Hmm.
these are two actual inscriptions which are not textual interpretations, but real inscriptions which you can read where the Vedic and Sanskrit similarities, not similarities, sameness, it's not a similarity, is very much present in that same area. And it gives you the cultural similarity and the language similarity between
Hmm.
Persia and Bharat.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, does this answer your question on language, etc.?
It does. It does. Okay,
Any
so
questions
that's
on this section till then we will move
no.
on to something which is. maybe more
Yeah, let's
contemporary.
yeah, let's move on. I think it's very, very clear.
Any comments? I have been talking non-stop in this episode.
No, the only comment is that it does appear that if you fast forward 2000, 2500 years, the civilization which currently is mainly on the subcontinent of India was much broader, and it's essentially been in retreat for the last 2500 years.
Yes.
So that's pretty interesting. I mean, it's just an observation, right? That
And a very correct one. Very
hmm,
correct one. And now, if you think about it, it's left in a very small part of the world.
yeah, correct.
But again, Utkarsh, it is the oldest standing civilization on planet
Hmm,
Earth. So
hmm,
naturally, we expect to see some contraction.
correct, correct. No, it's. I'm just wondering whether it is that if you just look at it very objectively, forget moral judgments. Is it that other, not civilizations, but other cultures learned a trick or two to be sticky or to be conquering? Like it or dislike it, whether it's conquered by the sword or conquered through whatever. Whereas this one has been what it is. Maybe it's adapted a little bit, but that's been one thing, right? Net, its share has declined.
Yeah.
So,
Because I think the sword of Islam actually almost decimated, Islam and Christianity have decimated almost anything else that has existed on planet Earth, Utkarsh.
hmm,
Christianity through a variety of methods, which includes the sword, but a lot of cunningness and a lot of cheating and deceit. And Islam has been pure violence, pure violence. And again, you have to give it to the sword of Islam. It was very, very strong and very efficient. In actual fact, I think it is only Hindus who have withstood the sword of Islam. Think of all the other continents they have run through. What
hmm.
remains of the original religion? Nothing.
No, but I was also wondering if I was to take this further back. I completely agree with what you're saying, but I'm just trying to take this further back. So, what was it that initially that this Indic Hindu civilization spread all over these places? There must have been something that existed before it as well, right? It's not like everybody living in wherever it might be. So there would have been something in that in the culture which allowed it to spread, but suddenly it became weaker. So what changed? That's kind of what in my head, right?
Yeah,
It's not that.
I think, Utkarsh, that it's because this civilization works on harmony and cooperation. And harmony and cooperation are not, what can I say? They ran out of steam when greed, conquest, selfishness came to the fore. Look at Christianity, lords of creation. We have to grab everything for humans. Vedic and Hindu civilization is not like that.
Hmm,
Look at
hmm,
Islam. We have to turn the entire world into Islam. So I think this philosophy of harmony and tolerance has been the strength in the beginning. Probably that is why it spread peacefully and its weakness later.
hmm, hmm,
But
hmm.
it's a very good question, and I don't think we can answer it, offhand like that, you and I sitting
Yeah,
here.
yeah. That's
We
separate discussion
also,
altogether.
yeah,
Yeah.
we also need to think about it.
Hmm,
And
hmm, hmm.
if viewers have any opinions on this, we would love to hear them because it's
Hmm,
a very
hmm.
good question.
Yep. Okay, you
So,
wanted to move on to more contemporary
yeah,
times.
yes. Oh, well. First, let's go to the 16th century. So, in the
Oh,
16th
that's
century,
very contemporary. Just like yesterday, I was
well,
hanging out with Columbus and whoever else.
you were hanging out with the Deccan Sultanates in India, and you
Yes, in
were
Hampi
slow. Yeah,
before
you were
Hampi got destroyed.
yes, and you were slowly becoming Islam, and Shia Islam was coming into the Deccan. So the
Hmm,
16th century Safavid dynasty of Iran had a great
hmm.
deal of influence on these Deccan Sultanates. In
Oh, is it? Okay.
1730, yeah, so that was one thing, and then in 1738, Nader Shah sacked Delhi and he
Hmm, hmm.
overran the Mughals. He stole the peacock throne of Shah Jahan, which he
Yeah.
had stolen all kinds of Hindu gems and studded it on his throne. So it was stolen yet again. And it went off to
For
Nader
those
Shah.
who want to see these stories, go to our Precious Stones
Nader.
episode.
Oh my God, Utkarsh, this is really coming comprehensive overview. So remember I told you that in 635 CE, Islam conquered Persia and
Hmm.
destroyed Parsi culture and religion.
Hmm.
So they ran away. First, they ran away into the mountains in Iran, tried to live there for some 50, 100 years. They survived in Yazd and Kerman. Utkarsh, in Yazd, we still have Yazidis who follow
Hmm.
Hindu-like customs.
Hmm.
Then from there, they ran to a place which we all know, Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz.
Oh.
And they spent a lot of time in the Strait of Hormuz. Then from there, they decided we have to leave this area. They went to Diu. Then they went to Sanjan. Sanjan is a port on Western India. The ruler at the time was called Jadi Rana. And this happened in, say, around either 7th or the 8th century. The dates are not very clear. But it's written down in a book called the Kissai Sanjan. But this book was written in the 1600s, detailing the
Hmm.
history of the Parsis. So,
Hmm.
the dates are not 100% clear. So, Jaddi Rana looked at these very martial type of people and said, no, I mean, I'm not too sure I want you. So, they said that we will be very, very, we will blend into whatever, wherever you want us to blend in. So Jaddi Rana laid three conditions that they would speak the local language, they would not use any weapons, and they would wear the local dress, which was the sari.
Hmm.
So remember
How
that
many of them came?
this would be in the thousands,
Very small.
small, very
Very
small,
small
very
numbers.
small, very
Hmm.
small. Yeah. So there is that famous story that Jaddi Rana said that this cup of milk is full. I don't have any space for anyone else. I have a
Hmm.
lot of population. So the
Hmm.
Parsis put sugar in it and gave it back. That what we will
Hmm.
do is just make your entire empire better. And they
But
emphasize
maybe
the
it's a
similarities
separate
with
question.
Hindus.
Yeah, separate question for such a small group of people in such a large country. Disproportionate impact.
It's a very
What
good
accounts for
question.
that?
Yes, okay, I'll tell you what accounts for that. But before that, let me tell you
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
after some time, they asked for permission and they
Yeah.
lighted their sacred fire in exile. In I think it was first in Sanjan. They called
Hmm.
it the Iran Shah. So it was the king of Iran in exile.
Hmm. Hmm.
So they lighted this fire. Then from there, they moved to many places in Western India. Mumbai,
Hmm.
Pune, Surat, Bharuch, Navsari, Ankaleshwar, Cambay, etc. So, what accounts for their prosperity and their outsized impact? One is that they were a seafaring and, port to port, living from port to port, traveling kind of group of people. So, they became merchants. And
Hmm.
merchants always have a tendency to become very prosperous if they do well. So they
Hmm. Hmm.
did pretty well. They organized their religion pretty well. They multiplied and they went into lakhs and lakhs. It is only now that they are down to 60,000. Today, there are only
Hmm.
60,000 Parsis in India.
Hmm.
So, one reason was that they were merchants and they were doing pretty well. And then came the British. When
Hmm.
the British came, the Parsis found a way to collude with them. So you see, they were white skinned. They were
Hmm.
very acceptable to the British because they were white skinned, and they soon became white adjacent. They picked up a lot of British habits, education, language, became extremely anglicized. And it was to them that the Brits gave many of the very lucrative shipping contracts, trading contracts, rather than to Hindus, because they thought of them as white adjacent. What
Hmm.
were the things they made their money on? They made their money in the shipping, tea, cotton industry. But the worst thing of all, they were colluders with the East India Company in the opium trade. So the great
Hmm.
prosperity of the Parsis, a lot of it sits on the opium trade. And you know
Hmm.
what the opium trade was like. Again, Utkarsh, we must do a one episode on that drug smuggling company called the East India Company. We must do one of those.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
profits were enormous,
Hmm.
enormous. So the families like the Tatas, Vadias, Godrej, Gigi Boys, Ready Monies.
Hmm.
These people made an unimaginable amount of money through the opium trade. Also, of course, from shipping, they like the Vadias, for example, they owned a lot of ships and cotton and
Hmm.
tea also. It was trading and their adoption and collusion with the British, which gave them that outsized influence that they
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
had in 18th, 19th, and 20th, and even 21st century India. And
Hmm.
Tatas were, as I said, colluders with the Brits, but there were some Tatas who were great freedom fighters. Who was the first person who ever spoke of the drain of wealth from India? It was Dada Bhai Nauroji, very
Hmm.
much a
Hmm.
Parsi. So there
Hmm.
were some great Parsi freedom fighters, but the large part of the Parsi community, and in fact, they were very unpopular for that reason. They were colluders. You go to Bombay, you will find Bomji Framji Hall and Nuserwanji Concert Hall, and they kind of own Bombay, the Parsis.
Hmm.
So their collusion with the Brits gave them a lot of their prosperity, and then they became industrialists in 20th century India. Many of those Parsi families are no longer that prominent, but of course we know the Tatas and we still know the
Hmm.
Badias. There are some who
Hmm.
are still pretty very
Hmm.
important. And one thing which I must mention, of course, is the Parsi Gara sari. It is a very famous embroidery sari. It has elements from China because it was part of the opium trade when they got Chinese silk and were exposed to Chinese embroidery and they brought it back and
Hmm.
made it into an Indian sari. And
Hmm.
also, some Iranians were left, Parsis, original Parsis, Zoroastrians, in Kirman, in Iran. So you also had influences from there. So, are you familiar with the Gara sari? Otherwise, I will show you one.
Nope. Never heard of it till now.
Okay. So I will show you one. So these beautiful pieces of embroidery,
Hmm.
these have Iranian motifs. These have Iranian flowers, and I don't know. Can you see this bird?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Not a
this bird
bird.
is this one,
Yeah, yeah.
this one. This is a phoenix, which is a
Hmm.
Parsi bird. But Indians in India, it was very much accepted as a bird. Maybe a peacock, etc. These are different forms of Parsi garas. And they also
Hmm.
made things called jhablas. This is a jhabla. You see these young kids wearing
Hmm.
these tunics? These tunics are
Yeah.
called jhablas.
Hmm.
This also has beautiful embroidery. Look at these.
Hmm.
Gara saris are they are very, very expensive and they are pieces of art. So
Hmm.
some of the things that are embroidered, like I said, flowers, bootas, birds, and this one was called kanda batata because these are polka dots and these were as common as onions and potatoes. So they were called kanda batata. There is one thing which is called china chini, which is a Chinese couple together. So those are the china chinis. I don't know if I have it here. And this is the style of wearing the sari. It is said
Hmm.
that the family, and this is of course an ambiya, this is very much a very Indian motif. See, this is the China Chini. Can you see this? Chinese man and
Hmm.
Chinese woman.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
So these Gara saris are absolutely fascinating because they are Chinese influence, originally Chinese embroidery and silk, cast
Hmm.
in an Indian way and then turned into Indian motifs and also
Hmm.
with Iranian influence.
Hmm.
And each of them is an heirloom. Each of them is a piece of art in itself. I own one Gara sari. I should have worn it today, but well, I'm just wearing a linen sari, not a Gara one. So that is one thing which strikes me because I'm a sari lover. So the Parsi Gara sari is a very important
Hmm.
artistic
Hmm.
expression of the Parsis in India.
Hmm.
Any other questions? I think
No.
I have come to an end of the things that I had curated for this particular episode because India-Iran relations are really huge. So I
Hmm.
had just
Hmm.
picked up some things, curated some things which should be
Hmm.
interesting.
Hmm. Hmm. No, I think very interesting. I think the links are very clearly established.
And what happened
Interesting findings.
post 1947 was that in the beginning, Iran, joined the West-led coalition because the
Hmm.
Shah of Iran was very much
Yeah.
a man of the US. So then, because India was non-aligned, there was a little bit of a, not so
Hmm.
good relations. But after that, after the Islamic Revolution, there, India has still had decentish relations, but Iran has not always had a very good effect on India. They have tried to foment trouble also, but India has friendly relations. There is a Chabahar port which is being developed by India. And India
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
Iran kind of managed to get along because they are
Hmm.
neighbors, they have to get along. So they kind of
Hmm.
managed to get along. Modern India-Iran relations is a separate topic altogether, which, as
Yeah.
we said, we are not going to touch.
Hmm.
But we have
Yeah, I
touched the
think
Strait of
we have
Hormuz in a very,
touched.
very different way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I think this was very informative. I think anyone who's curious will get a lot from this episode. They'll find out things
And
they
people, do not forget to go back to all the episodes we have mentioned. Maybe we'll
yeah,
make a list of all of them, Utkarsh.
we will,
So
we will.
that, anyone who watches this episode, it's like a kind of, what can I say, comprehensive overview of VAK Indian History Podcast.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. So should we
Good.
call it a day
We should
for
call it a
today
day or a night,
or a
if you can
night
see
for
around
you?
me, depending because of our time differences.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
but as always, like, subscribe, please share. If you're erring on the side of, uh, you know, not doing it, do it. If you're not thinking of doing it at all, don't do it. But if you're thinking about it, just do it.
Yeah, and if you're not thinking about it, tell us why.
Yeah.
Tell us what you want so that we can show that to you, talk about it with you, and
Mm,
help us to. Well, right now, our aim is to reach 50K. So please help us to reach 50K sooner rather than later. I'm sure we'll reach
mm,
there, but do help us to reach there sooner rather
mm.
than later. And we'll be there again with yet more interesting things. So you see, you must be tired of listening to so many pieces about the Iran war. Look at this very different way in which we have brought Iran in front of you. So should be interesting, I hope.
Good. Thank you for watching as always, and we'll see you
Namaste.
next time.
Namaste. See you next time.